Good morning. Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a great day so far. So today, as you can tell, we're going to be seated. We're going to do just not so much of a flow, but more just some movements and some possible stretches that you might be able to do seated, whether you're in your car or at your office or maybe at home and the floor isn't accessible. Just some movements that you might be able to do as you're seated in a chair, or you could even do it seated on a couch or wherever. And everything too here can also be modified to be standing or on the floor if you'd rather. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So go ahead and find your space, finding or choosing how you would like to begin, where you'd like to be seated. And then you might start by bringing some movement into your upper body. So maybe shifting your weight side to side a few times here. And as you bring some movement into your body, you might start to notice that connection between your body and the surface beneath it. So maybe beginning to notice the ground underneath your feet as you shift from one foot into the other. Or you might notice the back of your legs, or maybe the bottom of your seat. Maybe those sitting bones that you might notice connected to the surface beneath you. And feel free to continue side to side, or you might shift that movement to forward and back. Maybe feeling a little bit of a different connection there with those connection points through your feet, your legs, or your seat. And you can always choose, first if you'd like to move, or if you'd like to find stillness, or if you're moving, maybe choosing how big or how small those movements might be. But in your own time, go ahead and make your way back to center, or wherever feels like center to you. Maybe finding a neutral spine here. And then as we pause here for a few moments, you might try closing your eyes, or you could keep them open, maybe turning your gaze downwards. Taking a few moments here to find, or maybe to notice your breath. Noticing your natural breath here, no need to change your breath, but just noticing when you're breathing. And as you continue to breathe here, you might try thinking of your breath almost like water being poured into a glass. So that breath or that water fills from the bottom up, and then as it empties, or as you breathe out, it empties from the top down. So as you breathe in, maybe bring an awareness down to your belly first. You might feel your belly rise slightly, and then maybe rising or filling into your ribs or your lungs, and then lastly, maybe noticing your chest rise or fill with air. And then maybe as you breathe out, just noticing the opposite. Maybe your chest comes back in, maybe your ribs come back towards the center, and your belly might come in as you exhale. So you might try a few breaths like that, just breathing from the bottom up and breathing out from the top down. If that works for you, great. You can stay with that for a few breaths. If not, maybe just continue to either notice your natural breath here, or if your breath isn't comfortable to focus on, you can always bring your focus back to one of those connection points. Your feet in the ground, your seat in the chair. Maybe pausing here for about 3 more breaths. Maybe one more breath. Breathing into your belly, your ribs, your chest. Out of your chest, your ribs, and your belly. All right, you're always welcome to come back to that at any point. Otherwise, let's bring some more movement into our body, maybe this time into your shoulders. So maybe try lifting your shoulders up towards your ears, and then maybe drawing them back and down. You could also connect this movement to your breath if you'd like. As you breathe in, maybe your shoulders come forward and up. And on your breath out, you might try bringing them back and down. You might start to notice some sensation or feeling through your shoulders. Maybe one shoulder feels different than the other. You could always move one shoulder at a time if you like, or you can move them both at the same time. Or you could try reversing directions if you are circling. Maybe inhaling, then back and up, and then exhaling your shoulders forward and down. Another option here, you could bring your fingertips to the tops of those shoulders and take that movement a little more into your elbows. Just letting your shoulders follow the movement of your elbows here. And again, you might notice some movement underneath your fingertips. A few more circles here going either direction. Maybe a few times in both. And then maybe that next breath in, letting those hands come all the way down and then out and up towards the ceiling. Feel free to connect your hands overhead as you exhale, lowering them all the way down towards your torso. Once again, let's inhale. Lifting up through your arms, lifting up through your torso. You might even lift your gaze up towards your hands and then exhaling your hands out and down. If you don't have much space out to the sides, you could always just reach your hands forward and up and then maybe out and down. But just 2 more breaths here as you inhale, lifting up through your arms, any amount. You could pause anywhere along the way and then exhaling them all the way down. And 1 more breath. Exhaling as you lower. All right, let's go ahead and bring one hand down along our side. So you could reach down towards the ground, or if you're in a chair, you might reach down for the bottom of your chair or maybe the leg of your chair. And your opposite hand reaching up towards the ceiling. Maybe or looking up towards that hand as well. And then once again, try to notice or feel that connection between your leg or your seat and the chair beneath it. Really try to root down into that connection as you lift up a little bit taller through that extended arm. And then feel free to switch your arms whenever you would like. Inhaling as you lift up. Maybe that lower hand is on the chair, or you could actively reach down towards the floor. And then once again, let's try that first side as you inhale, reaching up. This time, maybe reach overhead. And again, you could walk your hand down the chair leg if you're using that to help go to the side a little bit further. Or you could stay upright. Maybe switching sides if you haven't already. And then let's inhale both arms all the way up. This time on our exhale, turning to one side, finding a twist. So feel free to bring that front hand to your opposite leg. And your hand that's behind you could reach out into the air, or you could bring it to the back of your chair. Once again, just using what we've got here to help us in these forms or in these shapes. You can stay here on this side, or maybe as you breathe in, you untwist, reaching both arms back up. And on your breath out, maybe turning or twisting to the other side. Again, maybe noticing where that front hand lands. You might bring the hand behind you to the back of your seat, or you could reach out behind you. Either way, finding what works for you. And then maybe on the next breath in, lifting your arms all the way back up, but this time on your breath out, we'll turn to that first side, keeping that front hand on your leg, but then the hand that's behind you, maybe try reaching up towards the ceiling. So just combining that side bend as well as that twist. And you might lower your front shoulder down a little closer towards the floor as you lift up through that back arm. Still trying to keep your seat connected to your chair. And then go ahead and make your way back to center in your own time. Inhaling as you lift your arms up. Exhaling, maybe turning to the other side. And feel free to keep that front hand on your leg. You could even lower your elbow or your shoulder down towards the floor as you reach up behind you with that arm. Maybe noticing a stretch through the side of your body, maybe through your lower back. You might notice a stretch or sensation somewhere else, or you might not feel anything at all. It's always a possibility too. Go ahead and make your way back to center. Inhaling all the way up, and then on the exhale, just bending those elbows as our elbows drop down and back behind us, nice and slow, lowering those hands down back to those legs. Alrighty, so with those hands on the front of those legs here, again, feel free to adjust or shift as you find your seat. And you could always scoot towards the front edge of your seat too to create a little more space for yourself to move. But this time, let's find some movement through our spine. So as you breathe in, maybe try lifting your chin and your gaze up towards the ceiling. You might feel the rest of your torso lift up as you lift your chin. Gently dropping your shoulders down away from your ears, maybe even bringing your shoulders back a little bit, bringing those shoulder blades a little closer together. And then on your next breath out, reversing that direction. So maybe rounding through your spine, feel free to lower your chin towards your collarbones. Maybe your shoulders come forward and your belly button might come in a little closer to the spine. And you are welcome to stay in either direction, or you could move with your breath. So choosing if you'd like to pause or if you'd like to move. Maybe you inhale as you lift forward and up, or on your exhale you might round back and down. And feel free to take your time if you're choosing to move through these. Oftentimes the slower we move, the more we're able to notice. Good and bad. So you're always welcome to pick up that pace if you would like, or maybe you notice a spot that you might need to hold and pause, breathing into that area for a few breaths. But let's just take about 3 more breaths here. Always giving yourself permission to come back to center whenever you'd like, or maybe do something different altogether. And then maybe finding that neutral spine the next time you get there. All right, so this time, let's bring one ear down towards one shoulder. Taking a little movement into our head and our neck. But maybe as you pause here for a breath or two, maybe you start to notice a stretch through the side of your neck here, and you're welcome to keep your hands where they're at. Or maybe reaching your opposite hand, then the way your head is tilting. It could come out to the side, again, just reaching out into the air. Or you could reach down for the bottom of your seat, bottom of your chair. Maybe using that connection, or maybe using some movement with your hand to not adjust, but just to kind of feel the stretch a little differently. Another way to do that is to move your chin. So maybe keeping your ear close to your shoulder, but you might lift and lower your chin or move it side to side a few times. And feel free to stay on that side as long as you'd like. But when you feel ready to work your way over to the other side, you might do that by lowering your chin down towards your collarbone. Again, just taking your time, moving your chin across your collarbones over to the opposite side, the opposite shoulder. Maybe bring your ear closer to that shoulder as you lift your chin up towards the ceiling. You might pause here, or you could bring your hand out to the side. Maybe you're reaching away from your body, or you could reach your hand down to the bottom of your chair. Finding what works for you here. This might work great. Maybe you pause and breathe here, or if you'd like to find some movement through your chin, just little micro movements. Noticing how or if that might change where you feel a stretch. As always, take as much time here as you'd like. Or maybe completing that circle as you continue to lift your chin up towards the ceiling, your head's coming back, working your way all the way around back to that first shoulder. Again here, feel free to pause, or you can continue to move your chin all the way around, just making a few circles. Lifting and lowering your chin. Noticing each spot along the way. You could switch directions with those circles if you'd like. And in your own time, making your way back to center. Bringing your gaze back to center. Maybe you find some movement through your upper body. All right, let's shift that focus to our legs. So maybe so with your feet on the floor, you might step your feet out a little bit wider than your hips. So just kind of out towards the edges. And then your hands can come along maybe the inside of your legs, the inside of your knees. Now as we breathe in here, again try to root down into those sitting bones, into your seat as you lift nice and tall. And then on your breath out, maybe turning your shoulders to one side. And as you turn your shoulders, maybe lowering that front shoulder down. And now you can keep your hand on your knee and gently press your knee out to the side, dropping your shoulder down. Or I like to bring my forearm or my elbow to my knee and use that to help gently press the knee out to the side as you twist, as you fold, and then make your way back to center whenever you feel ready. And just readjust, try to lengthen, create some space through your spine, and then exhaling, maybe turning to your other side, turning your shoulders. You can even turn your gaze or your chin to the side as well as you lower that front shoulder down towards the floor. Feel free to inhale back up and then just taking your time moving side to side. And choosing your focus here. That focus could be your twist, maybe through your spine, focusing on turning your shoulders, or you could bring your focus to your legs and maybe focusing on guiding those knees out to the side as you start to stretch through your inner thighs. Or you might choose to focus on something else. That works too. Maybe just 2 more breaths here though, if you're moving, maybe once more to each side. And then slowly making your way back to center, walking those feet back in. And then let's inhale, reaching our arms all the way up. On the exhale, we're gonna fold forward over those legs. So lowering those hands down, they could hover over the floor, maybe they come all the way to the floor. Or you could wrap your arms around the bottom of your legs, bringing your chin a little closer towards your collarbones. Just allowing the crown of your head to release down towards the floor. Just for about 3 breaths here, maybe noticing some movement in the back of your body, the back of your ribs or your lower back as you breathe in and as you breathe out. And then maybe after that next breath out, feel free to bring your hands to the tops of your legs, pressing down into your hands as you lift all the way up. Go ahead and bring those arms up with you. And then this time on our exhale, we're going to straighten those legs out. And once again, we're going to fold forward over those legs. So maybe keeping your heels on the floor. I know you can't see my heels, but heels are connected to the floor, but your toes maybe are lifted up towards the ceiling. And you could keep a bend in your knees here if you'd like, or they could be a little more straight. Either way works as you start to fold over those legs. Now again, you might not fold quite as far as you did when your feet were connected to the floor, but maybe starting to feel a little stretch through the back of your front legs here as you fold. And then in your own time, making your way all the way back up to center. Okay, bringing those feet back in, we're just gonna turn. Let's turn to our left side here. So turning on your seat. So your left knee is pointing forward, your left toes, and then our right foot, we're gonna step it back behind us. We can see this a little better here, a little bit, okay. So just kind of having one sitting bone, one side of your seat on your chair, so you're kind of on the front edge of your seat. And this back leg, your knee could just be pointing down towards the ground, and feel free to keep your toes on the floor if you want. Just kind of shift a little bit, find what works for you here. But then try to actively reach that bent knee or that right knee down towards the floor. So it's probably hovering over the floor. It might be touching the floor. It'll be a little different for each of us. But as you reach your knee down towards the floor, think about drawing that right hip forward as your left hip comes back. So almost like we were in a kneeling lunge on the ground. Just using that chair to help us here. You could keep your hands where they're at, or you could reach your right arm up. Maybe creating a little more space through the whole right side of the body. Feel free to keep your gaze straight ahead. Maybe try to drop your right shoulder down, staying in line with your left shoulder, even though you're actively reaching up through your right arm. Just taking another breath in here, reaching nice and tall. And then on your breath out, Lowering your hand all the way down. Both hands can come to that front knee as you find a little twist to the side. So maybe turning towards your left, towards your chair. Turning your shoulders. And then feel free to untwist, coming back to center. One more option here. You could bring your feet back to center at any point, or you might try lifting your back foot up, bringing your hand to your foot. You could always use your left hand, kind of hold on to your chair here for some balance. But maybe finding a little stretch through the front of your thigh, top of your thigh, as you bring your heel a little closer towards your body. Go ahead and let that foot go whenever you feel ready. And both feet can find the floor. Maybe you come back to center for a moment. Just taking a pause to kind of check in. Notice how both sides feel through your legs or through your hips. And then maybe on your inhale, lifting your arms up. Exhaling, we're going to fold forward over those legs. But let's bring those hands to the top of those legs. And then inhale, just try to lift your shoulders up, away from those hips. Or away from the knees, sorry. And then go ahead and exhale, back to center. Turning to the opposite side, so maybe turning to your right. Same thing here, so your right foot's on the floor, right knee's bent. Maybe scooting towards the front edge of your seat, so just half of your seat, just that right sitting bone is on the floor as you begin to bring your left leg back behind you. So feel free to keep your left toes on the floor, maybe your knee is pointing down. As much as it's able to here, and then gently try to square those hips. So reaching your left hip forward, your right hip back, and then maybe you lift your left arm up. Extending up through your fingertips, and then down through your knee. Reaching in two directions here. Maybe checking in, noticing your breath. And then maybe on the next breath out, lowering both hands to your right leg as you start to turn your shoulders to your right side, finding a gentle twist. Maybe even turning your gaze towards that back shoulder. And then slowly coming back to center. You're welcome to stay here. Again, just exploring, reaching down through your knee and forward through that left hip, or you could lift your back foot. Feel free to bring your knee out to the side to find that foot, or you could hold onto your chair with your right hand here as you gently reach that left knee down towards the floor. Bring your heel a little bit closer towards your body. Maybe continue to reach your left hip forward. And then go ahead and lower all the way down. Untwisting as you come back to center. Both feet find the floor here. And once again, let's inhale. Lifting those arms up on our exhale. Folding forward towards those legs. And then bringing hands to the tops of your legs. Inhale, just try to lift your shoulders and your heart. So we're still folding forward. Almost like we're in cobra. And then exhaling as you draw in through your core. Coming all the way back up to a seat. Okay, let's keep our left foot on the floor and our right ankle, maybe bringing it above your left knee. So a couple options here. You can have ankle above your knee. You could always keep that left leg straight and then cross your right knee, right ankle here. Or your ankle could be anywhere along your shin or your ankle. So lots of options. Find what works for you there. And maybe try to shift your weight side to side a few times to connect those sitting bones with your chair. Feel free to have your hands on your legs, or they could always come to your chair as well. As you inhale, rooting down into those sitting bones as you lift tall through the crown of your head, and then exhaling as you hinge forward any amount. Noticing when your body pauses for you. Noticing where you might feel sensation of a stretch, maybe through your outer hip, maybe somewhere else, or maybe not at all. And try to keep your awareness on that area as you continue to breathe. Slowing things down a bit. maybe stay here a few breaths longer, or you're welcome to make your way back up to a seat. Uncrossing those feet, and before we try the other side, bringing both feet to the floor, let's bring our hands to the back of our chair, or they could come to your lower back. And maybe as you inhale, lifting your gaze, lifting your chin, lifting your heart, and then exhale, try to stay lifted as you start to hinge forward at your hips. Again, just keeping hold of the back of that chair to help draw those shoulders back, opening through your heart center. Maybe finding a little arc through your upper back. And then go ahead and exhale back to center. All right, if you want to try that hip opener on the other side, feel free to cross ankle above your ankle, or maybe ankle above your knee. That leg that's on the floor, your knee can be bent, or you could always straighten it out in front of you. Otherwise, try to find your seat here. Feel free to shift your weight side to side to help with that. Or you could inhale, rooting down into your seat as you lift tall through the crown of your head, and then maybe exhaling as you hinge forward, hinging at your hips. You might notice this side maybe feels a little different than the other side. But again, just trying to shift your awareness, choosing where you'd like to direct your focus. Maybe on where you might feel a stretch, or maybe you choose to focus on your breath, or maybe something else. About 3 more breaths here, or any other length that works for you. Maybe try to soften through your gaze, through your jaw. And then on your next breath in, maybe coming all the way back up, lowering both feet back to the floor. Or feel free to extend them out in front of you and move them around a little bit, lifting and lowering your knees, or you can move your feet side to side. Alrighty, and then go ahead and scoot towards the back of your seat, maybe until you feel your back connected to your chair here. Arms can be wherever they're comfortable, hands on your legs, along your sides, whatever works for you here. And you're welcome to have your eyes open or closed for these last few moments. Once again, maybe just checking in with what draws your attention in your body. If you feel any area more than others, maybe noticing just the effects of the movements and the stretches and the breathing that you've just done for this past half hour. You might find you want to do some more movement, or whatever it might be, just starting to notice and observe the feedback that your body can give. And then as you shift your awareness back to your breath, maybe taking 2 more breaths together here. So maybe finishing your next breath out. You're welcome to keep your hands as they are, or if you want, you could lift your arms up as you take a breath in, and then maybe lowering them back down as you breathe out. And maybe try 1 more breath together here. Feel free to breathe in through your nose, and then maybe out through your mouth, just sigh it out. All right, thank you so much for joining me today. Hopefully that was helpful, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.